Hello, friends. Welcome to my channel. It was 11:47 p.m. Daniel stood on a bridge. The wind was cold. The city lights were far below him, small and quiet. Like tiny stars that fell from the sky, he looked down at the water. He whispered, "I'm so tired." Not tired from walking, tired from trying. He took one small step forward, and then he heard a voice behind him. "Beautiful night, isn't it?" Daniel froze. He didn't know that this simple sentence, 6 small words, was about to change his whole life. But before I tell you what happened next, let me tell you how Daniel got to that bridge. Meet Daniel. Daniel was 34 years old. 5 years ago, he had a good job. He had a small apartment. He had a wife named Elena. And every morning, she made him coffee before work. Life wasn't perfect, but it was enough. Then, every time Daniel worked close just like that. One email, "We are sorry to inform you." No warning. No time to prepare. Daniel wasn't worried at first. He said to Elena, "Don't worry. I'll find another job in a few weeks." A few weeks became a few months. A few months became 2 years. He sent his resume everywhere. Restaurants, offices, warehouses, delivery companies. He heard the same words, again and again. "We'll call you. You're overqualified. We chose someone else. Sorry, the position is filled, double quotes, 60-3 rejections." Daniel counted every one. Every no felt like a small stone. And slowly, those stones became a mountain on his chest. The biggest problem, money disappeared first. Then, little by little, so did everything else. Elena tried to stay strong. She took extra shifts at a supermarket. She stopped buying new clothes. She stopped going out with friends. But one night, she sat across from Daniel at their small kitchen table, and she said something he never forgot. "Daniel, I love you, but I can't watch you disappear anymore." He didn't understand at first. "I'm not disappearing," he said. "I'm right here." Elena shook her head slowly. "Your body is here, but you left a long time ago." 3 weeks later, she moved to her sister's house. She didn't leave because she stopped loving him. She left because she was scared of watching the man she loved slowly lose hope, day after day, and not knowing how to save him. Daniel didn't fight for her to stay, because deep inside, some small part of him agreed with her. I am disappearing." He moved into a tiny room above a laundromat. The walls were thin. At night, he could hear the washing machines spinning over and over, like a heartbeat that never stopped. He used to fall asleep to that sound and think, even a machine has a purpose. What's mine? The lowest moment. Have you ever felt invisible, not ignored, not forgotten, invisible? Like the world simply doesn't see you anymore. That's how Daniel felt every single day. He applied for a job as a stock clerk at a grocery store. Simple work. Nothing fancy. The manager, a young man maybe 10 years younger than Daniel, looked at his resume and said, "You used to be a manager yourself? Why do you want this job?" Daniel wanted to say, "Because I have nothing left. Because my rent is due in for days. Because I haven't eaten a real meal in 2 days, and I'm too proud to tell you that." Instead, he just said, "I need the work." The young manager smiled politely. "We'll call you." Daniel already knew what that meant. He walked outside. It started to rain. The kind of rain that feels personal, like the sky knows exactly how you feel. He sat down on a bus stop bench, soaked, cold, and completely empty, and in that moment, one thought became very loud in his mind. Maybe the world doesn't need me anymore. That thought followed him home. It followed him for 3 more days, until it led him to a bridge. At 11:47 p.m. on a cold and quiet night. Unexpected hope. Now, let's go back to that bridge. Beautiful night, isn't it? Daniel turned around, but an old man stood a few steps away, maybe 70 years old. He wore an old brown coat and held 2 cups of coffee. "I always buy 2 coffees," the old man said. "One for me, one for whoever needs it more." He held out a cup. Daniel didn't move. "I don't want coffee," Daniel said quietly. "I know," the old man said, "but maybe you want 5 more minutes before you decide anything big." Something about those words stopped Daniel completely. 5 more minutes. Not don't do it. Not everything will be fine. Just 5 minutes. Daniel slowly took the coffee. His hands were shaking. They sat down together on a bench near the bridge. For a while, nobody spoke. The old man just let the silence exist. He didn't try to fix it. He didn't try to fill it with fake comfort. Finally, Daniel spoke. "I've failed at everything," he said. "My job, my marriage, my life. I keep trying and nothing changes. I'm just tired." The old man nodded slowly. "Can I tell you something? When I was your age, I owned a small bakery. I worked on it for 11 years. What happy buren net done? One electrical fire, one night, and 11 years disappeared. In 2 hours, Daniel looked at him. What did you do? I sat exactly where you're sitting now. The old man said, on a bridge? At night, thinking exactly what you're thinking. Daniel's chest tightened. So, how are you still here? The old man smiled, not a big smile, just a small, honest one. Because someone bought me a coffee, he said, and gave me 5 more minutes. The turning point, Daniel sat there, holding the warm cup in his cold hands. 5 minutes isn't enough to fix a life. Daniel said. No, the old man agreed, but it's enough to not end one, and that's all you need tonight. Not a plan. No un souhait. Just tonight. He continued, tomorrow, you can be tired again. If you want, you can even come back to this bridge if you truly want to, but not tonight. Tonight, you just breathe. Daniel felt tears build in his eyes. Tears he had been holding back for 2 years. I don't know how to start over, Daniel whispered. I'm 34. I have nothing. No job, no wife, no money. No home that's really mine. The old man looked at him carefully. Let me ask you something. When your bakery, when your life burned down, what's the one thing the fire couldn't take? Daniel thought for a long moment. I don't know. Yes, you do, the old man said gently. Think again, and slowly, quietly, Daniel understood. The fire took my bakery. It didn't take. It didn't take what I learned. It didn't take my ability to start again. For Daniel, it wasn't a bakery. It was his job, his marriage, his old life. But underneath all of that, his mind, his hands, his ability to learn, to work, to try, none of that had actually disappeared. Et toi, Abur? Not gone. You still have the most important thing. The old man said, you're still here to use it. The final challenge, 2 weeks passed. Daniel didn't suddenly become happy. Healing doesn't work like a light switch. Some mornings felt heavy, weight in his chest. But every day he did one small thing. Just one. One day he cleaned his tiny room. The next day he wrote a new resume, not copying the old one, but writing honestly about what he could offer. No. The next day he walked past 10 stores and only asked in one, small steps, very small, but steps. Then, one afternoon, he saw a sign in a small cafe window. Kitchen helper needed, no experience required. Must be willing to learn. Daniel almost walked past it. The old voice in his head whispered, don't bother. You'll just hear no again. But this time a new, smaller voice answered back. So what if they say no? At least I tried. He walked in. The owner was a tired-looking woman. Named Grace, she didn't ask about his past job title. She didn't ask why a 34-year-old man wanted to wash dishes and chop vegetables. She simply asked, can you start tomorrow at 6 a.m.? Daniel blinked. That's it? No interview? Grace shrugged. I don't need someone perfect. I need someone who shows up. For the first time in 2 years. Daniel smiled. That a real smile, small but real. I'll be here. He said, 6 a.m., I promise. Emotional victory. Daniel showed up at 5:45 a.m., 15 minutes early. He washed dishes. He carried boxes. He chopped vegetables until his hands hurt. It wasn't a big job, that it wasn't his old salary. It wasn't glamorous. Everis ewelkedom. Tired in a good way, the kind of tired that comes from doing something. Not the kind that comes from disappearing. 6 months later, Grace noticed something. Daniel wasn't just washing dishes anymore. He was helping cook. He remembered every recipe. He suggested small improvements. Customers began asking who made this soup. It's amazing. One evening, Grace called him into her small office. Daniel, she said, I want you to be assistant manager. You'll help me run this place. Daniel stood there, silent, his eyes filling with tears. He didn't try to hide this time. Why me? He asked quietly. Grace smiled. Because you never once complained. You never once gave up, even on the hard days. That's rare. That night, Daniel walked outside. He looked up at the sky, and without planning it, his feet carried him back to that same bridge. He stood in the exact spot where, 1 year earlier, he had almost ended everything. He whispered, thank you, not to the sky, not to fate, to an old man he never saw again, a stranger who gave him coffee and 5 minutes, and a reason to try one more day. The powerful life lesson. Here is what Daniel learned, and what I want you to remember too. You don't need a big plan to save your life. You just need 5 more minutes, then 5 more, then one small step, then another. Failure doesn't mean you're finished. Failure means you're still in the story, just not at the ending yet. The job that saves you might not look impressive. The person who helps you might be a stranger with 2 cups of coffee. The turning point in your life might come from the smallest kiet momonaksin. You are not behind in life. You are exactly where your story needs you to be right now, and the thing that feels like the end tonight might just be the beginning tomorrow. The motivational ending, if you are struggling right now, if you feel invisible, tired, rejected, or like giving up, I want you to remember. Daniel, I want you to remember that difficult times never last forever, even when they feel endless. I want you to remember that one small step today, one resume sent, one door opened, one yes, I'll try, can quietly change your entire life tomorrow. You don't need to fix everything today. You just need 5 more minutes, and then 5 more after that. If this story touched your heart, and if you want more English lessons wrapped inside real, emotional stories, like this one, subscribe to this channel. Not because I'm asking for a favor, but because I truly believe your English can grow and your heart can heal at exactly the same time. See you in the next story. Until then, hold on just a little longer.